Dr. Elias Harrow leaned back in his chair, rubbing his eyes wearily as the dim lights of his office aboard the space station Orion 5 flickered slightly. The hum of the station's life support systems was a constant backdrop to his thoughts. Despite the late hour, his office was cluttered with digital tablets, holographic images of alien anatomy, and petri dishes filled with colorful cultures. A soft chime interrupted his solitude. Elias glanced at the communication panel. An incoming transmission was flagged as high priority. Curious and a bit cautious, he accepted the call. The screen flickered to life, revealing the stern features of an alien whose regal bearing was unmistakable even through the digital noise. "Dr. Harrow," the figure began, his voice carrying a resonant metallic timbre. "I am Praetor Varn, speaking on behalf of the Zalarian High Council. We require your expertise urgently." Elias straightened up, instantly alert. "Praetor Varn, it's an honor. How can I assist you?" Varn's eyes seemed to weigh Elias with a grave intensity. "Our situation is dire, Doctor. The Krylor beast, a creature of significant importance to our people, is dying. We believe its ailment is beyond our understanding. You come highly recommended for your work with xenobiological entities." Elias nodded, his interest piqued. "I'm familiar with the Krylor beast by reputation only. It's a remarkable creature, but I'll need more details about its symptoms and any environmental changes in its habitat." "We prepared a full dossier for you, Doctor," Varn replied as files began transferring to Elias's console. "Time is critical. We ask that you come to Zalara. Your travel arrangements have been made. Will you accept this commission?" The weight of the request settled over Elias like a cloak. This could be the breakthrough he had been waiting for, a chance to apply his knowledge on a grand scale. "I accept, Praetor. I'll depart immediately." Varn's expression softened slightly. "Your help is invaluable. We await your arrival with anticipation. Safe travels, Dr. Harrow." As the transmission ended, Elias wasted no time. He packed his medical equipment, personal effects, and the newly arrived dossier into his rugged travel case. Reading through the dossier on his tablet, Elias learned of the beast's sacred role in Zalarian culture, not just as a predator, but as a symbol of the planet's health and vitality. Boarding the starship Enigma felt like stepping into another world. The sleek vessel was designed for speed and comfort, its crew efficiently preparing for the hyperspace jump. Elias found himself on the bridge, watching as stars turned to streaks outside the panoramic windows. "Dr. Harrow," the captain greeted, extending a hand. "I'm Captain Lyra. We'll ensure your journey to Zalara is smooth." "Thank you, Captain," Elias replied, shaking her hand. "I hope we make it in time." As the Enigma slipped into hyperspace, Elias looked back at the receding Orion 5. His adventure was just beginning, and the fate of a world might hinge on his success. Little did he know the mysteries of Zalara would challenge more than his skills. They would test his very spirit. The hum of the Enigma's engines in hyperspace had a strangely soothing quality that Elias found both comforting and unsettling. He spent the journey immersed in the Zalarian dossier, absorbing every piece of data about the Krylor beast and its critical condition. The creature was not just an animal, it was a keystone species, deeply entwined with Zalara's ecosystem and the cultural identity of its people. Elias sat in his temporary quarters, surrounded by holograms of the beast's anatomical structures, trying to formulate hypotheses on possible ailments. His thoughts were interrupted by a soft knock on the door. "Dr. Harrow, may I have a word?" It was Captain Lyra, her expression serious. "Of course, Captain. Please come in," Elias replied, gesturing to the seat across from him. Lyra sat down, her gaze fixed on the swirling images of the Krylor beast. "I've been briefed about your mission," she began. "I understand the stakes are high. How can my crew and I further assist in your preparations?" Elias appreciated her directness. "Actually, Captain, I could use your insight on Zalara's current geopolitical climate. The dossier mentions unrest, but the details are scant." Lyra nodded, understanding the gravity of his request. "Zalara is in a precarious state, Doctor. The ruling council is facing pressure both from within and from neighboring systems. Their reliance on the Krylor beast for societal stability isn't just biological, it's political. Public faith in their leadership is waning, and your success or failure could sway public opinion significantly." Elias absorbed her words, realizing that the scope of his task extended beyond veterinary science. "Thank you, Captain. That context is crucial. It seems I'm not just there to treat an animal, but potentially to stabilize a government." "Exactly," Lyra confirmed. "And while I have no doubt about your medical expertise, be mindful of the political currents. Words and actions carry weight there. Their conversation shifted to technical preparations for arrival. Lyra assured him of her crew's support in setting up a mobile lab and safeguarding his equipment. As the ship continued its journey through the star-studded expanse of hyperspace, Elias returned to his studies, now with a deeper understanding of the complex dynamics at play. He drafted a list of equipment and tests he would need immediately upon landing, everything from broad-spectrum antibiotics to advanced imaging scanners. Days later, as the Enigma exited hyperspace, the looming sight of Zalara came into view. The planet, with its swirling blue oceans and vast green landmasses, looked serene from space, a stark contrast to the turmoil hidden beneath its clouds. "Dr. Harrow, we're beginning our descent." Lyra's voice came over the intercom. "Prepare for landing." Elias packed away his research, his mind a whirlwind of medical strategies and political nuances. As the ship pierced the atmosphere, the real weight of his mission settled in. He wasn't just going to save a beast, he was diving into the eye of a socio-political storm. Ready or not, Zalara awaited. The Enigma touched down on the outskirts of Zalara's capital city, a sprawling metropolis framed by the dense, toxic jungles that were home to the Krylor beast. The air was thick with humidity and the sounds of alien fauna. As the ship's ramp descended, Elias braced himself against the wave of heat that greeted him. "Welcome to Zalara, Dr. Harrow," greeted Tarek, his designated guide and a member of the local wildlife authority. He was a tall, lithe figure with skin that shimmered like the surface of a pond at twilight. "Thank you, Tarek. It's good to finally be here," Elias replied, extending his hand in greeting. Tarek's handshake was firm, his smile warm. "Come, let me show you to the transport." "The sanctuary where the Krylor beast resides is quite remote," Tarek explained as they walked towards a rugged hover vehicle equipped for the harsh terrain. As they drove, Tarek provided a running commentary on Zalara's unique biosphere. "The jungles here are beautiful but deadly. Nearly every plant and animal is toxic to some degree." Elias nodded, his mind on the creature he was about to meet. "How has the Krylor beast been behaving recently?" "Erratically," Tarek replied, his face clouded with worry. "It has been lethargic, refusing food, and occasionally aggressive. We've never seen it like this before." Upon reaching the sanctuary, Elias was struck by the sheer size of the enclosure built to house the beast. A vast area mimicking the natural jungle environment but fortified with high-tech barriers. There, in the center of the enclosure, lay the Krylor beast. It was a magnificent creature, easily 20 meters from snout to tail, with scales that glittered like emeralds. Even in its weakened state, the beast exuded a sense of primal majesty. Elias approached cautiously, his medical scanner in hand. "It's incredible," he whispered, more to himself than to Tarek. "Yes, but also very dangerous," Tarek cautioned. "We should keep our distance until we understand what's affecting it." Elias began his examination from a safe distance, his scanner beeping intermittently as it collected vital data. "There are signs of severe dehydration and malnutrition. I also detect elevated levels of unknown toxins in its bloodstream," he reported, analyzing the data scrolling across his device. "Could it be poisoned?" Tarek asked, peering anxiously at the display. "Possibly, or it could be an infection or disease unique to its physiology. I'll need to run more tests in a controlled environment," Elias concluded, already planning his next steps. As they prepared to leave the enclosure, the beast stirred, its massive head turning towards them with a low growl. Its eyes, once bright with intelligence, now seemed clouded and pained. "We'll find a way to help you," Elias promised the creature, feeling a surge of determination. The plight of the Krylor beast was more than a medical challenge. It was a puzzle that he was intent on solving. Back at the hover vehicle, Elias and Tarek made plans to transport samples of the beast's blood and tissue to a nearby research facility. "We're racing against time, Tarek. Let's hope we're not too late," Elias said as they sped away from the sanctuary, the image of the ailing beast imprinted firmly in his mind. Elias's temporary lab was set up in a secure wing of Zalara's central research facility, a stark, utilitarian space that contrasted sharply with the lush chaos of the jungle outside. With samples of the Krylor beast's blood and tissue at his disposal, he delved into microscopic examinations and toxicology reports, searching for clues to the creature's ailment. "Any theories yet, Doctor?" Tarek asked, peering over Elias's shoulder at the array of screens displaying complex biochemical data. Elias sighed, rubbing his temples as he considered the information. "The toxicity levels are off the charts. It's not just environmental. This looks like deliberate poisoning. But why? Who would benefit from harming such a vital part of your ecosystem? Tarek frowned, concern etched across his features. There are factions within our government who have pushed to expand mining operations, even into protected territories. The Krylor Beast's sanctuary sits atop a rich vein of unarium, a rare mineral highly prized across the galaxy. That would do it, Elias muttered grimly. Unarium mining is notoriously destructive. It could easily leach into the water table. We need to check the sanctuary's water sources. Together, they organized a field team to collect water samples from various points around the sanctuary and nearby mining sites. Elias insisted on accompanying them, needing to see the situation for himself. The journey back to the sanctuary was tense, the gravity of their mission weighing heavily on everyone. As they collected samples, Elias's portable sensors detected significant chemical anomalies in the water flowing from the direction of the mining operations. Just as I suspected, Elias said, holding up the sensor for Tarek to see. These levels of contaminants could easily compromise the Krylor Beast's immune system, making it susceptible to toxins that would normally be harmless. The evidence was damning, but proving it would be challenging. Elias documented everything meticulously, knowing that the political implications could make his task all the more difficult. We need to confront the council with these findings, Tarek stated resolutely. They can't ignore hard science. Elias nodded, though he knew that science often bowed to politics. But he wasn't about to let that stop him. First, let's confirm these findings with further tests back at the lab. We'll need irrefutable evidence to go public. Back at the facility, Elias worked tirelessly, running and rerunning tests to confirm the data. When the final report was compiled, it painted a clear picture of environmental sabotage linked directly to the unarium mining. With the report in hand, Elias and Tarek prepared to present their findings to the Zalarian High Council. It would be a monumental task to sway them, but the health of the Krylor Beast, and potentially the entire planet, depended on their success. As they made their way to the council chambers, Elias felt a surge of adrenaline. He wasn't just a vet anymore. He was a defender of an alien world's natural heritage. The stakes were unimaginable, and in his heart, Elias knew that the battle ahead was about more than just one creature's survival. The council chamber was an imposing structure, its walls lined with ancient Zalarian stone carvings that depicted the Krylor Beast in various heroic roles throughout history. As Elias and Tarek entered, the weight of countless generations seemed to press down upon them. We're here to present evidence of a grave threat not just to the Krylor Beast, but to the entire ecosystem of Zalara, Elias began, his voice echoing in the vast chamber. The assembled council members, a mix of influential Zalarians from various sectors, watched him with a mix of curiosity and skepticism. Elias detailed the findings, presenting data and samples, his presentation both thorough and compelling. However, he could feel the resistance from the council, their faces hardening as the implications of his findings became clear. Dr. Harrow, while your work is most thorough, one council member, an elder with sharp eyes, finally spoke. You must understand that the mining operations are vital to our economy. You suggest halting them based on the health of one creature? Elias was prepared for this. Not just one creature, Counselor. The Krylor Beast is a keystone species. Its health impacts the entire biological chain. If it dies, the consequences will ripple through Zalara's flora and fauna, affecting everything, including your people. The council murmured among themselves, the tension palpable. It was then that a figure stepped forward from the back of the room, a Zalarian scientist, Dr. Mira Len, whom Elias had met briefly at the research facility. May I address the council? She asked, her voice steady. Granted permission, Dr. Len supported Elias's arguments with her own research on environmental impacts. There is a way to extract unarium without damaging the ecosystem. We've developed safer, though more costly methods that have been ignored by the council. Her testimony added significant weight to Elias's case, but the council was hard to sway. The session ended with no clear resolution, leaving Elias frustrated but not defeated. Outside the chamber, Dr. Len approached Elias and Tarek. I believe in what you're trying to do, she said earnestly. There are others here who feel the same, scientists and environmentalists who've been silenced or ignored. We can help you. Forming an unlikely alliance, they planned their next moves. We need to bring this issue to the public, to show them what's at stake, Elias suggested. Dr. Len nodded in agreement. I can arrange a meeting with key media figures and environmental groups. If the people see what's happening, they will demand change. Over the next few days, Elias and his new allies worked in secret to compile reports, gather testimonies from other experts, and document the effects of the mining on the local wildlife. They prepared a comprehensive presentation for a public assembly scheduled later that week, hoping to rally popular support. The night before the assembly, Elias sat with Tarek and Dr. Len, reviewing their plan one last time. "Tomorrow, we don't just speak for ourselves," Elias said, looking at his companions. "We speak for all of Zalara, for its future." As they finalized their preparations, Elias felt a mix of nerves and resolve. He had come to Zalara to save a beast, but now he found himself fighting for so much more. The day of the public assembly dawned clear and bright, a stark contrast to the storm of controversy that was about to unfold in Zalara's capital. The city square was filled with Zalarians from all walks of life, their faces marked with curiosity and concern. News of the emergency assembly had spread quickly, fueled by rumors of a significant ecological crisis. Elias, Tarek, and Dr. Len stood backstage, preparing for what might be the most crucial presentation of their lives. "Remember, no matter how they react, stick to the facts. Our evidence is solid," Dr. Len advised, her voice calm yet firm. As they took the stage, a hush fell over the crowd. Elias stepped up to the microphone, his heart pounding in his chest. "Citizens of Zalara, we are here today not to spread fear but to prevent it. The health of our Krylor beast, the guardian of our ecosystems, is under severe threat due to unchecked industrial activities." He proceeded to detail their findings, displaying vivid images of the polluted water sources and sick wildlife, juxtaposed with graphs and data models predicting the long-term impacts if the current mining practices continued. Dr. Len then took the stage, explaining the alternative mining techniques they proposed, which would safeguard the environment while still allowing for economic growth. "Change is difficult and often costly, but the price of inaction will be much higher," she concluded. The crowd's reaction was mixed. Some voices called out in support, others in denial and anger. But before the assembly could devolve into chaos, a group of government officials, led by the same council members who had doubted Elias in the chamber, stepped forward. One councillor, a middle-aged Zalarian with a stern expression, addressed the assembly. "We have heard Dr. Harrow's concerns, and while we dispute none of his findings, we must consider the economic implications of halting the unarium extraction." Tarek, who had been silent until now, stepped up. "With all due respect, Councillor, can we put a price on our planet's health? On our very survival?" His question struck a chord with the audience, prompting murmurs of agreement. The debate continued, with both sides presenting their arguments, until a sudden roar from the edge of the square drew everyone's attention. To the shock and awe of the crowd, the Krylor beast itself had appeared, looking healthier than it had in months, a testament to the treatments Elias had administered. Elias seized the moment. "Look at this magnificent creature, a symbol of Zalara's strength and purity. Can we stand by and watch such a symbol perish due to our negligence?" The emotional impact of the beast's unexpected appearance swayed many in the crowd, tipping public opinion in favor of conservation efforts. The council, feeling the shift in sentiment, reluctantly agreed to revisit the mining policies and consider the proposed safer methods. As the assembly dispersed, Elias felt a cautious optimism. The battle was far from over, but they had won a significant victory today. With the public's support and the council's attention, there was real hope for change. In the weeks following the public assembly, Zalara underwent a palpable transformation. The council, pressured by the surge of public support, initiated a moratorium on unarium mining pending further review. Elias, Tarek, and Dr. Len became frequent figures in policy discussions, advocating for sustainable practices and environmental preservation. Elias spent his days at the sanctuary, monitoring the Krylor beast's recovery. Under his care, the beast regained its strength, its scales shimmering with renewed vitality. The bond between Elias and the creature grew, the beast responding to his presence with a gentle nudge or a low purr, behaviors never before observed by the Zalarians. "It understands that you helped it," Tarek observed one afternoon as they watched the beast roam its enclosure with newfound energy. "I think it does," Elias replied, a sense of pride mingling with awe. "It's a smart creature, Tarek. It knows we're trying to fix what's been broken." Meanwhile, Dr. Len spearheaded the development of the new mining techniques. Her team worked tirelessly, proving that it was possible to extract unarium without poisoning the environment. These methods, though more expensive, showed promising results in early trials, bolstering their arguments in council sessions. As the Krylor beast's health visibly improved, so did the morale of Zalara's populace. The creature's recovery became a symbol of hope, a sign that change, however difficult, was possible. Schools organized trips to the sanctuary, educating children about wildlife conservation and the importance of ecological balance. One day, as Elias documented the beast's activities, a group of council members visited the sanctuary. They observed the creature's interactions with Elias, noting its recovery and the public's growing attachment to both the beast and the cause. "You've done remarkable work here, Dr. Harrow," one counselor admitted, a note of genuine respect in his voice. "It's hard to deny the connection between the beast's health and the health of our world." Elias nodded, grateful for the acknowledgement. "It's a connection we can't ignore. Not if we want to preserve what makes Zalara unique." The turning point came when the council officially adopted the new mining techniques, integrating them into Zalara's economic framework. The decision marked a significant victory for Elias and his team, one that promised a brighter future for both the planet and its inhabitants. Celebrations ensued, with the Krylor Beast's sanctuary hosting a large event attended by citizens from across the planet. Elias was honored as a hero, his dedication and efforts recognized and celebrated. The beast itself seemed to partake in the festivities, its roars and movements mirroring the joy of the gathered crowd. As the sun set over Zalara, casting a golden glow over the jubilant assembly, Elias stood beside Tarek and Dr. Len, watching the festivities. The struggle had been arduous, fraught with challenges and setbacks, but standing there, witnessing the harmony between a once-dying beast and its people, Elias felt an overwhelming sense of accomplishment. "This is just the beginning," Dr. Len said, her eyes bright with optimism. "Today we celebrate, but tomorrow we continue our work. There's much more to do." Elias smiled, ready for whatever challenges lay ahead. With the Krylor beast by their side, they had turned the tide, proving that even on an alien world, compassion, science, and determination could heal and transform. In the months that followed, Elias became a permanent resident of Zalara, embracing his role as an environmental ambassador. His days were divided between the sanctuary, where he continued to oversee the health of the Krylor beast and other native species, and various ecological projects across the planet. Zalara was experiencing a renaissance of sorts. With the new mining regulations firmly in place, the planet's natural habitats began to thrive once more. Rivers and streams ran clear for the first time in decades, and wildlife populations, once dwindling, were rebounding. Elias stood before a classroom full of Zalarian students, sharing his knowledge of xenobiology and conservation. "Every species plays a critical role in its ecosystem," he explained, projecting images of Zalara's diverse fauna. "By protecting one, we help sustain many." The children listened intently, their eyes wide with fascination. It was these moments, educating the next generation, that Elias found most rewarding. He was not just healing the present, he was helping secure the future. Outside the classroom, the sprawling campus of the newly established Institute of Planetary Health buzzed with activity. Dr. Len had taken the lead in developing the institute, which had quickly become a hub for environmental research and education, attracting experts and students from across the galaxy. Later that day, Elias met with Tarek and Dr. Len at a local cafe, a popular spot for the planet's growing number of environmental activists. Over cups of steaming Zalarian brew, they discussed upcoming initiatives. "We're making progress on the Northern Forests Restoration Project," Tarek reported, showing Elias the latest satellite images on his tablet. "And the wildlife reintroduction has been more successful than we anticipated." Dr. Len chimed in, "And I've been invited to speak at the Galactic Environmental Summit next month. It's a chance to showcase what we've accomplished here and to inspire other worlds to follow our lead." Elias nodded, proud of how far they'd come. "Zalara could become a model of ecological stewardship," he mused. "Who would have thought, eh?" As evening fell, the trio walked to the sanctuary to check on the Krylor beast. The creature, fully recovered, greeted Elias with a familiar rumble, its eyes sparkling with intelligence and strength. "This beast," Elias said, resting his hand on the viewing barrier, "taught us the value of perseverance. It's not just Zalara's guardian, it's a symbol of what we can achieve when we work together." Tarek and Dr. Len nodded, their faces reflecting the soft glow of the setting sun. The challenges they'd faced, from political opposition to ecological disasters, had forged a strong bond between them, uniting them in purpose and friendship. As they watched the beast playfully interact with its environment, the trio made plans for the future. Their work was far from done, but they were driven by a shared vision and a deep commitment to the planet and its inhabitants. The story of the Krylor beast and the changes it spurred on Zalara spread across the galaxy, inspiring other civilizations to reconsider their relationship with their environment. Elias, once a humble veterinarian, had ignited a galactic conversation about conservation and respect for all life forms. As night enveloped Zalara, Elias looked up at the stars, contemplating the vastness of space and the infinite possibilities it held. Here on Zalara, a new chapter had begun, one filled with hope, healing, and harmony. And for Elias, this was just the beginning.